Welcome to Business Spotlight on Money Radio WPSE. Business Spotlight is heard weekly at this time on 1450 AM and 107.1 FM. Today's guest is Jim Berlin, CEO at Logistics Plus. Jim, thanks again for joining us. For those that may not be familiar with Logistics Plus, or LP for short, can you describe what LP does and why you chose to make Erie, PA the home of your corporate headquarters?
Well, I tell people, well, LP moves stuff. That sounds minor, but if you think about it, everything in the world moves and has moved forever. So it's an industry that's been here since the beginning of time, since the caravan trails and the Silk Road, and until someone invents an app that can move a pallet from Chicago to Cleveland, they'll need people like us to do that. So that's what we do. We move things. And why we're in Erie is only one thing, is GE. GE was our first customer 22 years ago. So we set up shop actually in their headquarters at the time and started there. So for the first 3 years, all we had as a office was a post office box and no other property.
Jim, globally, how many people do you now employ?
About 450 worldwide, about half in the U.S. and a little more than half in the U.S. and the rest overseas.
Jim, how many are located here in Northwest Pennsylvania?
150 in Pennsylvania, like probably 120 or so in this headquarters now, which is funny. The train station, when we bought it 15 years ago, people talked about how we were visionary, and I always said delusionary. But to be honest, it's never been a good investment, but we've grown from 30 people in this office to about 110, 120, and we're running out of space, which I never thought would happen. So kind of a cool problem to have, yet still a problem. But it's been our home base, and it's been a great place to have as a headquarters. One, because it is a very cool building, and it is transportation, so there's a good vibe to that. But the other thing is that when you go around the world and you say you're an American company, people go, oh, good. Where are you from? You say Erie, Pennsylvania. I go, like, where? And then so we show them the picture of the train station. They go, oh, that's good. So it's helped give us some cred around the world.
As 2018 comes to a close, can you summarize the year for Logistics Plus?
In one word, crazy. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. We had a record year 2 years ago in 2016, which after 20 years is pretty cool. And 2018 will double our record year of 2016. So, I mean, if anyone's in business, I mean, when you start out, it's easy to double every year. It sounds great, but it's not that hard. When you're 20 years in and you double, that's like really crazy. So it's been challenging, but kind of fun, good problems. I always tell the guys at work, I said, I know it's tough. I said, but growing pains are a lot better than dying pains. So we'll live with this, So, and it actually, to be honest, it feels like it's not a peak we're going to crash after it. It feels like there's more and more things coming our way. To me, it's a new foundation to further grow from. So it doesn't feel like it's going to slow down anytime soon.
When you talk about doubling, what does that mean at your headquarters as well as globally?
I mean, jobs. I mean, it means a lot more jobs, but also, you have to work harder. I mean, when you're busy, you work longer and harder, but and you have to kind of flex to the what's happening at the time. You can't keep hiring. I mean, but you expect more people, but it's the kind of challenge. And then if you can get the sense that, okay, this is going to last, then you start hiring. I always say, people will scream and it's killing me. At first you kind of, okay, live with it. But after a while, if it stays like you're killing me, we got to add to the growth. But you don't want to do that too soon, because the flip side of hiring more than you need is that you got to let people go, and that sucks. That's frankly the worst part of a business owning is letting people go. If it's on them, it's hard, but it's okay. If it's just because the economy went down or a customer left, I mean, and they did a good job, it's tough to do. So I try not to hire too soon, because I don't have to let people go unnecessarily.
Jim, any new offices or developments domestically?
I don't think new. Yeah, Chicago. We've got a few new offices. I'm trying to keep up with it. We've got a few new offices. I mean, Charleston, South Carolina, and Chicago, and Denver, Colorado, and a few places. We grow as the opportunity presents itself. So where we have new customers, we put Hartford, Connecticut. That's another one. So I mean, we've got more footprints now than we've had. It's funny. We started out with one small warehouse for GE about 15 years ago on the east side of McClellan Avenue, and now we have over 1 million square feet around the U.S. alone of warehouses that we manage. I mean, so it's kind of tiger by the tail, and changing every day.
What about globally?
Well, not many new offices globally. That's harder to set up. I mean, there are some, but not really worth mentioning. But new places we do business. So as our business grows and our customers go to different places, like we're much bigger in the Middle East than we were a few years ago. We're doing a lot in East Africa, which we never did before. So yeah, we're doing business there, and we do have some offices both in the Middle East and in East Africa that are new. But another office in China we added, and we just did Vietnam, and we just did some business in some more business in Indonesia, and so yeah, there's just a lot. It's hard to sum up.
Jim, what was the greatest challenge your business had to endure in 2018?
Keeping up with the growth, actually. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to. I mean, for one, you don't want to say no. I mean, so because when opportunity presents itself, you want to be able to take it, not pass it by because it may never come back. But on the other hand, you don't want to take on so much your service slides, because really all we are is a service business. And if you start screwing up the job you're doing, that's the quickest way out the door. So it's that balance of being able to just say yes and then do a good job, then come through with your commitment to the customer. So keeping that aligned is the hardest thing.
It's got to be difficult to maintain the idea of finding solutions as you grow, right?
Not really. I don't think so. It's funny because the plus we've always given, and again, remember we started with GE was our only customer for the first 3 years, but that was 20 years ago. And what we're finding is that a lot of people that went through GE and moved on, 20 years later say, hey, I remember how good you guys were, so can you come help me at my new company? And so we're getting like, okay. I mean, it's funny that word of mouth really is by far our biggest driver of growth. And it's either employees we had or customers we had that have now moved up the ranks in the business world and are running places and say, I know how good you guys are, so come here, So it's kind of great that it doesn't cost you anything to do that. It's just doing a good job and having the karma come back to you.
When you talk about the growth in the big accounts you work with, I'm sure those big names create new opportunities for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you have marquee customers like GE and WeWork and Google and SpaceX soon. I mean, that does open other doors. And again, but the big point there is you have to continue to do the superlative job. You got to do the plus, because anyone can do the basics. And I shouldn't say that. Not everyone can do the basics, but most companies can do the basics. But to do more than that, to be a solutions company, which is what I say we are. And so what happens? It's funny because you might get in the door to manage trucking, or to do some warehousing, or do some customs, or to do some international shipping. But when people see how good you are, they want you to do other things. And if you're capable of that, it comes to you. And so Google's a good case. Google's the second biggest company in the world, I think, and it's almost $1 trillion company. And we started doing one thing for them with 3 people. Now we're up to 25 or 30 people fully dedicated to them. And with more, they keep asking us to do other things, not even in our normal routine. They just say, man, you kill it, and we love that. So, it's what I've been preaching forever. Just do a good job, and the rest should take care of itself.
I would imagine it can't be easy to find some of those solutions when you are in unforeseen area, correct?
It's not, and it drives my IT people crazy. But one thing that's changing the industry, we have I used to say in my old trucking company when I was a truck driver, the company had, from 1927, the company had a saying, deliver the freight on time, in good shape, at a fair price. And I used to tell our people that's really all it's about. I mean, all the bells and whistles, if you deliver the product on time, in good shape, at a fair price, that's your job. That's still your job, except the one thing that's changed is everyone wants the IT that surrounds that. And some of which is fancy looking and nothing really that special, just looks cool. But a lot of it is we have access to a lot of information that the customer doesn't think about, and so we can give them business intelligence. So one, we have a whole team of people that present very personalized reports to our customers, what they want to see, and tell them things they didn't even know about their business. And two, we've got a whole team of developers now that we never had, that because all the software that's out there, even the best, the most expensive ones, have limitations. You don't find out about them until you buy it, and they tell you, then you find out that it's not as good as they told you it was. But so what we have to do is take those as foundations, as platforms, and then you have to personalize it and improve it and make it more directly applicable to each customer. And that's really best done internally. So we have a team of developers now that really personalizes the software that's out there. So what you want to see, how you want to see it is what you get. And that's one thing different from back in the old days.
The money that you've invested like in your app is money well spent because it's a part of the plus in your name of Logistics Plus, right?
And I love that stuff, but I also always say that still got to deliver the freight on time, in good shape, at a fair price, or none of that will matter. So that's the nuts and bolts.
Jim, what do you feel was your team's greatest accomplishment for 2018?
I think handling the growth. It's been chaotic. I mean, we had some, for instance, Google again. Their peak season, is Thanksgiving through Christmas, so we're right in the middle of it now. And we managed, the delivery of all their phones to all the stores around North America. So crazy pressure, crazy hours, crazy demands. Timelines are very tight, and it's a lot of pressure. But we really, without much complaint, the people just sucked it up and did what it took. And that's kind of our way. I mean, like I tell people when we hire them, I said, look. This is the world of logistics. Things move all the time. So if you don't want to get a call on the weekend or at the kids' soccer game on Friday night, probably not the right industry to get in, but definitely not the right company to get in because we answer those calls. And that's part of what the plus is. A lot of people, companies like us don't. They'll call you back Monday. Monday's too late. But I warn people that, and that's part of the deal is that you gotta, whenever a problem arises, you gotta take it on now because you can't wait. And really, the growth we've had. So the other thing is we've hired probably 30 people this year, mostly in Erie, probably 20 in Erie. And I am so impressed with, one, the kind of quality of people we're getting from the local schools. And I'm totally against the attitude that these kids don't want to work. You hear that a lot. But these guys come in here, and maybe because they see all the old timers working hard, but we've had no issues with that. People come in, and we usually have them spend a day or two here first so they know what they get into. But we've had kids that start out just this year and already moving way up in the company and taking on ownership of things. And I love that. I love seeing people be more than they thought they were going to be. And there's a lot of that here. These kids work hard. So I mean, it's a good feeder program for us. So I like to say we keep the Erie brain drain home. Here's a place to come from the local universities, stay in Erie, live in Erie where it's a good, easy pace of life and low cost, and still be involved in global companies with customers like Amazon and Google and WeWork and GE. So I think it's a good synergy.
You made that part of LP's culture, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And it's funny, the kids that come here, I mean, I bet there aren't 5-10% of them that have degrees or any interest in logistics. But this really is something that it gets in your blood. Either you say, you guys are nuts and you run out the door, or you say, it's pretty cool, And if I always say you hire your own mistakes. If you find the people with that spark in the eye and the fire in the belly that say, okay, I could do this, they love it. And we have very little turnover.
Jim, there's been a lot of publicity around the import tariffs implemented by this current administration. How is Logistics Plus helping area businesses understand all of these changes?
Well, I'll be talking way out of my butt if I try to even answer that because I'm not a customs guy. But I know we have 3-4 customs brokers on staff, and they proactively go out to our customers and say, here's what to expect, here's what you need to do, and just staying ahead of it. And that's kind of one of the things we sell to people. I mean, you can hire a compliance person in your company. and they can learn everything and they can be great. But someone else hires them away from you, you're stuck with nothing. When you hire us to do that, you have a whole team here that is not going anywhere. So it really is a smart move on their part. You get the one person who's dedicated to you, but you get an entire team behind them that if a person leaves, you're not starting over again. And that we see that a lot. So that's one of the big sells here is you get a whole department, not just a person.
Jim, I love to ask this question. Looking at your crystal ball, what does 2019 look like for Logistics Plus?
No clue. I don't have a crystal ball. We had a guy, one of the guys we interviewed this summer, so he was an accounting guy, and he liked us and we liked him, and we were kind of dancing around whether he's going to leave his current employer to come work here. And it seemed like a yes, and he says, can I talk to you one more time? I said, sure. So he came in, and he says, I like your company, I like your culture, but I need to know where I'll be in 5 years. And I said, you know what? I don't know where you'll be on Monday. So if that's how you feel, fine, but like this is not the place to be because I don't know. I'm not a crystal ball guy. I just take it as it comes.
And I think I know your answer to this, but in terms of your budget, you don't say on January 1st, I want to double the growth, right?
I mean, to me, you just do the best job you can. Sometimes you're going to lose business through no fault of your own. A company goes out of business. We've had customers go bankrupt. I mean, so we get stuck and we did nothing wrong, but you lose the business. So, in my mind, you have to do the best job you can so you don't lose anybody as your fault. But if something changes in the world and you lose a customer, that happens. I mean, you can't win everything. So to me, it's the effort you give. And if we give a great effort and don't grow that much, I can live with that. I'd rather have that than a lousy effort and we happen to grow because that'll come back and bite you at some point. The effort's what matters to me. And the results aren't always linear. It's a trickier world than that.
Are there any new services or industry segments LP is targeting in the coming year?
Not targeting, again, we will do what we need to do. But, fulfillment's growing, certainly, so you have to pay attention to that. We have a fulfillment division, and that's the Amazon stuff. I mean, that online retail will grow. So we do that. But like I say, Google came to us, SpaceX came to us. We're doing more stuff with different GE divisions. We started out with transportation. Now we're doing stuff for aircraft engine and for GE power systems. And but again, all those are word of mouth. I mean, it's just so. It's funny. Like I told someone the other day. They asked about projections. I said, well, who knew in 2016 that WeWork would call us up and become a huge customer? Who knew in 2017 that Google would call us up and become a big customer? Who knew in 2018 SpaceX would call us up? I mean, I didn't know that. I mean, so, it just happened. I think things will continue to happen because of the good work our folks do.
Jim, your company has been in an astounding growth mode for quite some time. What's your secret to success? And how can you keep the role your company is on going into 2019 and beyond?
Simple, just doing a good job. It really is, yeah. Working hard, saying yes, not giving up. I mean, just all the intangibles that I think that's the key thing. When I interviewed all those kids this summer, so I interviewed probably 50 people, and it was a big growth spurt. So I wanted to be involved in the interviews because I want to get the right cultural fit and mentality. And I talk to these kids, and I say, this is a good future here. You can stay, you can have a great career in this business, but you have to work hard. You have to find ways to yes. You need to have positive energy, and those intangibles mean a lot more than I think having the degree in logistics or having read a book. Because what you'll find out, you can read all the books you want. But we joke all the time. So, what book was that? What business book was that in? I mean, you deal with things as they come, and it's a moving world. Transportation's always. Logistics is, things are moving, changing. It's how you react. It's the old, everyone's got a plan till I punch them in the face. I think it was Tyson or Muhammad Ali said that. Same thing here. If everything goes well, it's in the book, and this is how this shipment should happen. But what if something goes wrong? What if there's a road closed? What if the hours run out? I mean, you got to find ways to think on your feet. And that's kind of what I tell people here. So I think that's the key to success is just finding people with the right mentality that will say, okay, I'm going to find a way. You can't always find a way to yes, but most times you can. And if you have that doggedness and there's always someone, I always say, there's always someone in the building that will know the answer. You may not know it, but you ask, and there's people that can help you figure this out.
Jim, why is it so important for you to be involved?
I don't know. It's just a reputation that you want to have continue. I mean, I believe, do business the old-fashioned way. We're very flexible. We're not big on rules and regulations. I said, no. Someone asked me the other day, they said, so if you have no org chart and I have an issue, who do I go to? I said, whoever can solve the problem. I don't care if it's me or the janitor. I mean, like, whoever can fix this, deal with this, and you don't have to go to 10 people to get to the person that you need to talk to in the end. And so I say it's open doors, and to me that's not, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or better or worse, and it's not for everybody, I get that. But if you have people that kind of get that, it makes it a much easier place to spend your day, because there's no restrictions on you, and like, do you need a big rule book? I mean, I was a truck driver for 10 years and a Teamster manager, trucking company manager for 10 years, and everything was in a contract this big, and every answer was in that book. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, like, to me, the rules, no one agreed, and you fought about it all the time. I tell people, if you follow the golden rule, treat people well. I mean, 95% of your problems will be resolved just by that. So just some common sense, treat people with respect. But you don't need a thick rule book on that stuff. I mean, I think you gotta be flexible, and Fred Rizzuto always says, this is work, we're all getting paid, and we wouldn't be here if we weren't getting paid. But since you're gonna be here all day with these people all day, make it an enjoyable environment. Don't make it harsh and rigid and not fun. I mean, make it a fun place to be, so that at 5 o'clock you're not looking at your watch like, how can I get out of here right away? I mean, you are enjoying what you're doing, and you're enjoying the people you're doing it with. And that's kind of my role, is to find that group that feels like I got this guy's back. I'm not going to leave him. I gotta go home from dinner, but he needs help, so I'm going to help him out. So that's kind of I think my role more than anything, is finding the right people, setting the right tone.
Jim, we've done a number of these interviews together, and I have interviewed a number of people within your company, and there's a sense of empowerment with everyone. Would you say that's safe to say?
Exactly. Because you don't learn in the book. You learn by screwing up. And my thing is, you have to learn, when to ask for help. I like people that say, let me figure this out on my own, because that's the best way. But if you're getting the sense that, if this goes wrong, it's going to be a big problem, then ask somebody. But, to me, if someone makes a mistake, you never yell at them. You never embarrass them in front of anybody. If there's a screw up, you just take a little walk, go down the hall, put your arm around them, say, what were you thinking? What went wrong? Did you think about this? Okay, what'd you learn? We're not going to do that again, are we? And then give them a hug and say, okay, back to work, but just don't do that again. And that's how, one, people learn. Two, they realize they can make decisions and they won't get shot if they mess things up. But don't do the same thing over and over. That to me is the kiss of death. You have to learn from your mistakes and not make the same mistake twice. But without that opportunity, you don't get a chance to learn it. If someone else makes all the decisions for you, and you're just a monkey following orders, you're never going to learn anything. So I do believe in giving people responsibility. And if you look around, a lot of young people, most departments, everyone's in their 30s probably that runs all the departments, and they, no degrees in logistics. I mean, they just are smart and good persons, and tough-minded, and find a way to yes, and that's the key. I saw Alex Rodriguez speak at a conference I was at, and he says, I only hire PhDs, poor, hungry, and driven. I like that.
You've stated in past interviews that the greatest strength of LP is its people. Can you share what the accomplishments and the growth of your team means to you?
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing people feel like they become something. I don't want to mention names, but there's a few people here that they came here from their only job had been McDonald's, and they're running $30 million departments. That's so cool to me. And a lot of them are single moms who are PhDs, most of them tough as nails and caring. I love that. And so I think there's a lot of people, if you ask them that, are you doing better in life than you thought you were going to do being here? I think they'd say yes, because they're somebody here. They're treated well, and I like that. I'm I'm a big believer in people can be more than they. I'm an old coach, and I always like to get teams that were better than people expect them to be because they work well together.
Finally, Jim, is there any final words for our last business spotlight with Logistics Plus in 2018?
Just keep it going. Great year. The people we've assembled here are incredible. It's an honor to be part of this.
Thanks for listening to Business Spotlight on Money Radio WPSE. Business Spotlight is heard Fridays at noon. Join us again next week as Dr. Ford is in the Business Spotlight.